Hey, everybody, it's Tuesday. Gets there every time.
Well, it feels like it's late enough in the week to be Thursday. So, whatever. But welcome to this Tuesday's edition of The Night Bite.
I'm Josh.
And I'm Emily. And each Tuesday and Thursday from here until, mid-December, during the Wisconsin Ice Fishing Expo, we are going live 2 days a week with different people and places and products and things and all kinds of good stuff. And if you don't know what I mean, then check back a few of these, I was going to say issues or podcasts, and both of those are weird things because sometimes you might be, watching live on Facebook or YouTube or from a few different places. So let us know where you're watching from and let us know how fishing is by you, because when we usually start with a fishing report this week, do we have good news?
No. Long and the short of it is we got skunked. This is probably the first time in a lot of trips that neither of us have at least caught, even a little fish.
I didn't even get a bite. I literally didn't even.
But I mean, the fact of the matter is that we were on fish, and it was so shocking that we actually had to call around, and some other people experienced the same thing.
True.
Yeah, we called.
Here's one of the things that happened is that you were hunting Friday because that was pretty decent weather, and that's totally fine. So, but I'm just saying, as far as weekend days goes, we only have the weekend. So Saturday I worked in the morning, totally fine. So I had Saturday afternoon, right? But then it turns out that all Sunday was a lot of rain, a lot of wind, I'm fine with fishing in wind. I'm fine with fishing in rain. I'm fine with it. But when all of these things all lined up, it was a Sunday that we just could not go. And so we admittedly only had a half a day. And so you're like, it's shocking we couldn't find them. No, because what we always talk about is that we put in the time, right? And so what we did do is we used our tools. So we had the AquaView and we had the Live Scope. And between both of those tools, we found fish. That makes you feel a little bit good when you don't get a bite, right? Because when we see them on the graph, what we were noticing is, the fish that we were finding are pushing out to deeper structure. But I don't know, it seemed like they were holding very, very tight to this structure. So even when I had a tiny tungsten on and a teeny tiny plastic, and even my jig would come down and you could watch those fish like whoop, kind of sneak right on in there. And that was really interesting to watch. And again, on the AquaView, you can see those marks. They're not just like, I don't know, weeds or things. I don't know. It was obviously all fish, right? And so the cool thing about having two people in the boat is that we were able to, at twice the pace, like try out different baits, lures, all these different things. And there was just a certain point. We checked the cribs, we checked the rock piles, we checked here and there and deep and shallow. And ultimately it was the same results kind of all around. And that's what we don't normally find. So the pattern was we couldn't find a pattern.
Well, I guess where I was going with my original statement was when we talked to other people, I think what the biggest attribute to, the fishing conditions were the conditions, right? I think that we had a bunch like shotgun fronts. It was like up, down, up, down, up, down with the pressure. We had, some nice days, and then we had some crappy days, and like we rolled right into a crappy day. We've had some pretty wet weather here, coming off of a long stretch of dry weather. And so you have not only some surface water runoff going in and affecting some of the temperature swings, you have clarity issues, you have a whole bunch of things that kind of just all central around the current weather pattern. So, they have to eat sometime. So hopefully they're more hungry this weekend.
Well, and ultimately, if we know anybody who knows anything about the bite,
hey, Troy,
Jim, I just saw you. Jim, you know all about fishing too. Somebody else who knows all about fishing, though, actually, one of the people that my mind goes to first is Ryan and Jen Salemi of Ice Junkies Outdoors. So if we can bring them in, Josh is like clicking all over the place, like bring our guests in. Hi guys, thanks so much for being here.
Hey. Hello, good evening.
So we know you guys. I think some of the people at home know you guys, but in case there's anybody here who is new, can you introduce yourselves? Tell us a little bit about yourselves.
Yeah, well, we're Ryan and Jen Salemi. We were the founders of Ice Junkies Outdoors way back in 2013. And we were originally from Northern Illinois, and we moved up to the Northwoods of Wisconsin, and just living our best lives right now.
Funny, I don't admit very often, I'm also originally from Northern Illinois, so
I know you are.
So Ice Junkies Outdoors, I guess, in case there's anybody who doesn't know about that, can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, we're a worldwide social media outlet. We've been around since 2013, and I think when you guys first came on, what we were maybe like at 5,000, 10,000 people, and now we're sitting up at about 93K worldwide, which is really cool. You get to see some and meet some really cool people. And I think that's my favorite part of the whole thing is meeting all these cool outdoorsmen and women. And I mean, we didn't expect it to last this long, but here we are going strong here in 2024. Already? Yeah. So.
Oh my goodness. Okay. So I always love to hear you talk about this group because first of all, how do you define Ice Junkies? So if you've never been, go and check it out. I know that's a vague way to put that, but because where I'm going with this is it is a whole community. You know, you want to say, oh, it's ice fishing. Oh, it's just all kinds of fishing. Oh, it's just there's something for everybody and there's always something new. And so that is really the amazing part about it is, I mean, you guys obviously are kind of the brains of the operation, but it takes a huge team to keep a group like this running, right?
It does. I will say, like, our admin team for the page is absolutely amazing. Just even like our promotional staff, we're really one big family. When I know a lot of people can say that, but I mean that from the bottom of my heart. All of our people in our life, besides probably family and like lifelong friends, are all because of Ice Junkies. Like, we would not have met them if it wasn't for Ice Junkies. And I think that goes, like, even when you talk to our team, like, they come together, and we just had a group of guys that went hunting together for like a couple weekends ago, and they've been doing that for years. Like, it really has become a family, and I'm so thankful for the people it's brought into our lives.
Yeah, same here. Like I said, I'm more of a fisherman than a businessman. So for me, my favorite part about this whole thing is meeting the people, getting to fish with the people out in the field, getting to talk fishing, live fishing, breathe fishing. That's what this page is all about. And if you take anything away from Ice Junkies Outdoors, I want you to look at it as whether you're a team member or just a member of the Facebook page in general, we are all ambassadors of the sport, promoting the sport that we love, the sport that we want to continue to grow and see thrive. That's the most important thing you need to take out of it.
Okay. And so I guess I'm maybe going to put a challenge out to our listeners or viewers. If you have a favorite part of Ice Junkies, let us know what it is, because I guess I already said this, but how vast the amount of knowledge is. If you are a brand new beginner and you don't even know where to start, there's information on that. If you are the top of the line, like tournament fisher, expert, whatever, you are looking for the newest, craziest gear, that's there too. And the funny thing is that you don't typically find that all in one place because that's a very, very broad range, right? But I'm talking about this in part because you guys will also be there at the Wisconsin Ice Fishing Expo. So if people are lost or have specific questions, is that a place that they can go with some of this?
Absolutely. And again, that's my favorite part is talking fishing. You know, if you have any questions, you just want to talk in general, maybe you have questions about your lake or lakes that you want to go check out, come to the Ice Junkies Outdoors booth. We have a vast amount of fishermen who are out there every day doing it, not just talking about it, doing it. So we'll answer your questions, and you know, you're not being a burden. Come talk to us. We want to talk to you about fishing. That's what we're here for.
Well, and you know, again, so you're at the Ice Expo, you're walking around, you know, I need a new rod. And then all of a sudden, oh, you found a reel, you know, that's great. But then maybe you're stumped what kind of line to use. That there's so many different options, right? So no matter how specific your question is, all of these things can be covered, I guess, at the booth. So aside from knowledge and all of that good stuff, does the Ice Junkies booth like sell anything?
Yeah, it's funny you should mention that. Yeah, we've got we've been doing this since, like I said, 2013, and we wanted to change some things up this year. So we've got some really cool new apparel with new logos. We have new hoodies,
Hats.
beanies, hats, decals, really cool new stuff. And I think the best part about it at this year is we actually have a vendor who makes it affordable for us to sell these things. We're not, in the past, we've had to charge, $50-$60 for a hoodie, which is, in my opinion, ridiculous. This year, the prices are way down and the quality is way up. So come check it out.
Well, and the reason that I guess we bring this up and that this is so important is because, first of all, Ice Junkies is a community, and so it offers so much. But I think for so many years, people have been asking for like merchandise. What can I buy? This, that, and everything. And like you're saying, like huge group, tiny family-run small business. Can I call it a small business? I don't know. But yeah, I guess I can, especially now because, and people will be like, do I get gear? And now you can. And even at the Ice Expo, even in person. So before you had to like go to specific events, make sure that you were first in line for this gear, limited amounts. But I'm imagining that there's going to be something there for everybody, and that's going to be so fun.
Yeah. And this year also too, we have the benefit of having a live website too. Mm-hmm. So if you have, say you come to the booth on Sunday and we're all sold out, we can order it for you right there and it'll be shipped as soon as we put the order in. So if you find that we don't have your size or you don't like anything that we have there on display, go take a look at our website while you're there and we can order it right there and get it out to you that day.
That's pretty fancy, you guys. Okay, so we will come back to, I guess, Ice Junkies, and we'll come back to your booth. But the reason that I'm saying that is because there is even so much more that you guys are offering at the Ice Expo. And this is part of why we say that there's something for everybody, is we mean literally everybody. So you guys are also, can I say the sponsor or the host? I don't even know what to call you. But you guys put on, I guess, the Kidz Zone. So tell us about that.
You want to go take that over?
Yeah. So we'll have a group of guys. We have Ray coming again this year to
do the live hand tying.
Yeah, do the live hand tying jigs with the kids for a spot on Saturday. We'll have a ton of giveaways for the kids that come in. We have the bags the same from last year, and then we're gonna have a football toss this year.
Yep, we have a live football toss that will be really cool to do, like if you're a father and son, and you want to see who's got the better arm. We'll do the football toss, yeah. or like for Packer Bear fans who go head to head. Let's see who's got the better arm. I know a lot of Packer fans do a lot of talking, but let's see who's got the better arm when it comes down to it.
Yeah, there you go. That sounds so much fun.
So wait, is this an upgraded Kidz Zone from last year? Am I hearing like additional activities?
There will be additional activities. Yeah.
Yes.
It's just fun because a lot of our our team members that are come have kids of their own too. So they'll be running around in the Kidz Zone and they interact. And I think it's just fun probably for a break for kids to come see us and talk fishing too. Right. And
what was really cool last year is you had a lot of like father and sons, even mother sons, mother daughters that met as strangers in that Kidz Zone last year. And then they started talking about fishing. And a lot of them are fishing now as partners. That's pretty cool.
That is actually pretty cool. But I think also one of the cool things about the Kidz Zone is, families always find ways to get kids involved in fishing. And that can be so intimidating. It can be so scary. All the hooks, the fish, I don't know, they could be sharp, the gills, I don't know, the spines, all of the different things, right? And you think, oh, take kids fishing. That sounds awesome. But it's kind of actually hard to do, right? And so I don't mean to laugh about that because hopefully people are really successful. You see great pictures out there, right? But when we're talking about getting kids involved in fishing, that means so many more things than just the water or just the ice. So, the Ice Expo itself, walking around and seeing all the different things, but when they can come to like the Kidz Zone and be involved and talk fishing and just like being around this whole environment, that's one of those ways that, I guess is a really fun, or it's fun as a parent to, I guess, bring them up in fishing.
Yeah. And, for me growing up, that's all I wanted to do from the day I was old enough to the day that I made my first cast with my grandfather. I knew for the rest of my life that was my hobby. And that's what I wanted to do. And now you get to meet people that have the same mindset as you do, or have the same, hobbies and want to as you do. And you get that all in our booth. It's a pretty cool thing, man. It's very humbling. you know, and it sounds simple, but it's very important to start that grassroots, like right from the beginning. You know, when you meet somebody that has the same passion as you, that goes a long way. Like not just in life, but in general, like it just does. You got to surround yourself with like-minded people. And I think we have a great foundation at Ice Junkies Outdoors for you to start that adventure.
Well, and I think you brought it up before that this is a group of people that are amazing ambassadors of the sport, not only of the sport itself, but how you conduct yourself as a sportsman. And just even the last year, and you guys ran this Kids Zone, and it was apparent like the people there were professional and being role models to the kids that were showing up. And there was kids affiliated with the group already, helping out other kids at the Kids Zone, being role models for their peers, which is something that you don't often see nowadays. And I think that's one of my favorite things, is that it's that perpetuation of professionalism and just love for the sport and the people within the sport.
Yes, agreed 100%, brother.
That's a great point.
Okay, so it's hard to follow that up. So here's how I'm going to do that is let's talk a few specifics. So for people who are visiting the Kids Zone, do you have to pay extra to get in?
No. It's free, right? It's going to be by the trout pond.
Yeah, no, everything's free.
The trout pond is not free, but
all of those things are exactly what I was going to say. So that's perfect. So once you and your family are in the Ice Expo, it does not cost any extra to be a part of that Kids Zone. You guys have all kinds of fun and awesome things going on. And like you said, all of your volunteers are volunteers. So we don't expect, I guess, Expo attendees to pay for it. And you guys are not paying for it. These people just have the graciousness of their hearts are somehow just, I guess, coming and having fun too. But that makes it really easy to participate and do that kind of fun stuff. But there is all kinds of, I'm looking over here because we have a second screen and I'm looking at the map secretly, right? But there is all kinds of other things for kids to do at the Expo. Did I hear trout pond?
So yeah. So last year we had kind of talked about having that trout pond, and I think it got rearranged since we talked. So the trout pond's actually going to be kitty corner of the whole expo from you guys. So the trout pond's actually over by the seminar. You guys are over by the bar. But so your actual booth, so your actual, and I maybe Don, if anybody watched the episode a few episodes ago, maybe Don made that switch to entice some more parents over by the Kids Zone. But you guys. So the Ice Junkies have actually two spaces. You guys have booth 210, and that's where you're going to be able to talk with a lot of the pro staff and the admin staff, and like look at the swag. And I know IJO Plastics is probably going to be there. Some of that kind of stuff. But then B105, so Bravo 105, is actually going to be the Ice Junkies Youth Zone. And you guys will be kind of by Kramer Custom Rods, and
there's going to be a quiz, so everybody at home better remember that.
No, but if you're going on the icefishexpo.com, you're looking at the map, then you can search those numbers. But there's a big like beer mug, and it says bar, and then Ice Junkies Kids Zone is right under that. So you should be able to find
remember
it.
too, like
Sportsman's dollars between it.
Yeah. So
and everybody who stops by that Kids Zone too, like we have puking buckets full of great prizes to give away this year. Mm-hmm. So it's going to be worth your time to stop on out for sure.
And Ireland Clancy doing fake tattoos.
And we got tattoos. Mm-hmm. We got custom jigs. We have really good line to give away. We have stickers. We have
just a ton of stuff.
Plastics. We have a ton of stuff. Mm-hmm. You could actually leave the IJO Kidz Zone and go straight to the ice. You'll have everything you need there to win at the Kids Zone.
Hopefully we have that ice at that.
Hear that, Dad?
Okay, so there is a few questions in the comments section. So, people are hearing about this, and maybe what if you don't have children? If you are an adult, can you still stop by?
Of course you can. Sure. I mean, we're all kids at heart. It's fishing. Come on. Of course you can.
Well, and there's also the IJO booth. There's also the Kidz Zone, so you can stop and high fives all over the place. That'll be awesome.
One of our guys. Can I give Ken O'Malley a quick little shout out?
Yeah.
We've got Ken O'Malley who's going to be giving a seminar. I believe it is on Saturday. I will post the correct time, but he'll be giving a seminar on first ice for beginners. So that's
Very fun.
Ken does a really good job in breaking that down. So that's definitely a seminar you want to attend, especially if if you have children. That'd be a good one to attend.
I also heard that they expanded the seminar area from last year because you never know if people are going to love seminars, but last year people loved it. And I think they heard not enough space. So this year there's more space. So we are really excited for people to fill that up. Oh my goodness. I'm reading if there's going to be a dunk tank. And that's like a sad question after talking about ice safety. No, there won't be. Another good question. Will you babysit my child while I shop around the show? And they said, haha, JK. But just to be clear, I mean,
everybody's got a price.
Yeah.
Honestly, I don't think you would want to leave the Kidz Zone. Like even Emily and I had to stop by there a few times last year just because it's, there's so much fun stuff going on. And as a parent, if your kid is participating in an activity, a child-only activity, there's plenty of other ice junkies there that you can sit and chat ice fishing with, or if you have questions, like they're there. So I don't know if you'd even want to leave your kid by themselves.
I'm just thinking about this.
Fun.
I'm thinking about this opposite. If you leave your child in the Ice Junkies Kidz Zone, it's like, have you ever heard that book, If You Give a Mouse a Cookie? And then they're going to get like a jig and then a plastic and then like whatever the line, but then they're going to need a rod to go with it. And then they're going to need a reel and then you'll be at the Ice Expo. So you'll get those things, but then they'll need to go fishing. And then this is going to turn into a whole thing. And so don't
I mean, they call us junkies for a reason. That's how it starts.
You're going to have to buy tackle boxes. There's going to be mounts on the wall. There's no end to this.
Oh, now you're plugging your new job.
Oh my gosh. Let's see if there's other questions in the comments here. Oh, people are saying, Ryan, you look old, but I don't think that's true. He's catching better fish than ever. It's just Eric.
I am
glasses.
Definitely old. I can't see, I can't hear, but I can still catch fish. So that's all I give.
He does have a birthday next month, so he's going to be another year.
I like
older.
this one.
Oh my gosh. Okay. Well, I'm glad that everyone gets where we're going, and I'm glad that there won't be stray children in the Ice Junkies Kidz Zone. So I guess as far as other activities, I know that last year Santa visited, I believe that was a Saturday activity. So I can't ever guarantee Santa's schedule, but I'm thinking that that might be.
He likes ice fishing too much.
I think he put a special favor in, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Oh my gosh. So never know what you're going to find. As far as the Kidz Zone, is there anything that I'm missing?
We have the fish bingo, correct? Too.
That's an all-day thing, right?
Yep, I believe so. But
yeah. Okay, so we'll have the stamps in the booth probably though as part of the fish bingo. Yeah.
Correct.
Good call out.
Okay, so good point though. Fish bingo, in case there are people that are not familiar. So if you do bring a family, because I think this is mostly a youth activity, right? Mm-hmm. But there are bingo cards, and I think it's for the first 500. 250 kids through the door. Don is watching from home and he's yelling the number at the screen. So Don, if you're watching, put it in the comments. Otherwise, we'll post that later. But there are bingo cards for youth. And what this does is it allows you, as you walk through the expo, certain booths have signed up, agreed to, whatever it is. It's a lot of work for them, so they agreed to it, right? But to have stamps there, and so they'll put a stamp on this bingo card to say that you checked in there. And so you guys are one of the stamps on this bingo board?
Yes, we are. Correct.
And then I heard that if they turn in a full bingo board at the end of the day, usually there's something.
Yeah, Don has all kinds of prizes for bingo completion, so make sure that if you do participate, if you are there getting a bingo card and you do participate and finish, make sure you stop by the expo office. But one of those stops will be you guys. So that will be fun. So anybody participating will definitely get to see all that is Ice Junkies.
Well, and I have to say, the reason I very vaguely asked, what else did I miss, is because we're going to come back to all of that, just in case there's people who tune in at the end. We're going to give some reminders. But I have to say, we started off our show kind of talking about how terrible our fishing has been this past weekend. And if there's anybody who knows anything about fishing, it is you, Brian. And so I was hoping that we could kind of divert for a quick minute and actually talk about our time on the water. Because when we're talking about ice expos, this is a huge and important transition time. If we're going to be here, Ice Junkies, get your kids out on the water, you have to be able to actually catch fish, because the adventure is only fun for so long if you don't make that connection, right? So I guess this time of year, if you are like Josh and I, and you went out last weekend and skunked out, where do you start? What do you do?
Well, I guess we should start by saying, like, we're a month behind. We still have early October like patterns going on out there right now. I was out yesterday, still had 53-degree water surface temps. Fish are scattered, and I say that loosely. You can start fishing your typical fall patterns right now and go basin hunting right now. And I like to do that anyways, just to kind of follow the fish, at least the panfish, to their wintering holes right now. And they are not completely out in the basin right now. They're still hovering over that first break line. And that's simply to do with water temp. And, if you do any camera work or you pay attention to your electronics, you can see that all the food right now too is kind of hovering right at that first break line, whether it be minnows, bugs, it's all right there. And it's real easy to pay attention to and see on your screen, because once you drift off of the food, it's a dead sea. There is nothing on your sonar right now. Mm-hmm. So even if you're not marking fish, but you're marking bugs, you're marking bait fish, and you can see them in those pods, start fishing there, because that's where the fish are. We had a really good day last Tuesday. We put 116 and 2 15s in the boat within an hour.
Oh,
nice. And what's different about this year is most of the time on a normal year, you're catching these fish all schooled up together. This year, they're not. The big ones are rogues. They're kind of sitting outside of the pack, and some of them are even shallow right now. Like when I say shallow, 6 to 8 feet. If you can force yourself to, not get caught into what normally works and to just get in tune with the conditions that are happening right now, you're going to do yourself a big favor as far as putting big fish in the boat, because those big fish are still shallow and they're waiting to push out. And I think by looking at the next 7 to 10 day forecast, I still think we're about a week, maybe even 2 weeks out from seeing your normal late fall patterns. So we're catching fish here. It's not 100 fish a day. It's more like 20, 25 fish a day, but you're getting a handful of those that are the ones you want. You're talking those 13 to 16 inch crappies. And
okay.
Go ahead.
Okay, so I was going to say, well, first of all, I'm inspired by how succinctly you said all that, because that is kind of the experience that we've been having on the water, but that is all really tough things to describe. So, excuse me, if anybody missed any of that, rewind back, listen to that again, because that was good stuff. Mm-hmm. Because I think that's exactly what we need to do, is force ourselves. I know I especially have started to push us. Oh, our fall, like, let's move and let's do these things. Or, when all the leaves fall off the trees, we have this spot that works. I don't know, whatever. And so they haven't been there. They have not been doing what I expect. And so I'm like, is this an off year? Is the water low? Because by us, at least, that is true too, right?
Same here.
Is like they're halfway scattered, but don't miss them in those still shallow, you were saying 6, 8, maybe even 10 feet zones. And we are finding them, especially those areas where there is wood, right?
Yes.
So I think that like all of what you're talking about is exactly what you're finding. And that's so interesting. That's why I love to talk about this. We're in 2 different parts of Wisconsin, right? But this is still relevant information. I also have to ask, what is the bait you use then? Are you going small? Are you going big? Somewhere in between?
Usually I'm out there right now with a tungsten, like a 4mm tungsten and a couple waxies, right, to get these bigger fish to bite. I'm still on artificials. I'm still on 1-inch gulp minnows, even the 2.5-inch gulp minnows right now. And I'm pretty stubborn the way I fish. Like I use what works for me. And right now I'm just on the trolling motor, guys, at 1.5 mile per hour. And I'm just kind of gliding over the tops of these wood structures. And when I see a pot of good fish, I slow it down so that that bait's vertical. And that seems to be the key right now, because the water, although the surface temp says 53, it's a little bit cooler down below, right? So we don't want to be moving that bait too fast. We want to slow it down, make sure it's vertical, it's above them. And you can usually get them to eat if you force feed them right now.
So are you saying that you need a bait with a vertical presentation? Like I cannot just use my regular horizontal jig?
You can use your horizontal jig. Here, let me break it down for you. So we're fishing right now. Our hot zone has been about 13 to 15 feet of water, give or take. And I'm using, we've had a really windy fall. I don't know about you guys.
Oh,
tragically windy.
So I'm taking like a bobber stop that you would tie for a slip bobber. Okay, so I'm taking my line and I'm first going with a 1/4 ounce egg sinker, and then I'm tying that stop to keep that egg sinker from hitting my jig. I'm leaving about an 8-inch leader to my jig head, which is about 1/32 ounce usually with a number 8 hook. So that egg sinker has got the weight, right, and it's keeping that bait in the strike zone. As I'm moving the trolling motor back and forth, that bait is staying right above the fish because of the weight. If I didn't have that weight on there, it'd be kicking up way out here as I'm trolling, or it would be even above the weight, right? So keep it down above the fish. That is probably, it doesn't really even matter what you use. It could be a crappie minnow, a wax worm, your favorite small plastic. It's all about keeping that bait above the fish so they can see it. When they're in those packs, they're going to compete for fish. They're going to compete to get that bait. And that's how we've been getting our fish. It's not complicated.
Okay, this is why we love talking about this though, because for you, it's totally not complicated, right? But I will tell you, that's not how any of my lines are set up right now. And so it just, you're right. It isn't complicated, but for whatever reason, I had never thought of that yet, or I don't know, I guess I hadn't thought of it or something, and so that's why it's so important to talk about these things, because it is so great. You can just set that right up. And, because I'm listening to you and I'm laughing at myself, is because I'm that person that's like, I can solve this problem. I'll just put on a heavier tungsten, but like, honestly, I love Widowmaker, and this is not a knock on them, but you can only get so much heavier without the size. Like there's a point where you get heavier and that you're at a bigger jig, and it's like, but that was preventing that bite, is they were looking for that smaller presentation. So when you have something that you can have that weight and put whatever you want below it, that is so cool and not really novel at all. But to some people, it totally
and that's
why this is important.
That could completely change next week. It's all weather driven, right? Like these fish, if you watch them, which I do like religiously, they will, right now they're still willing to chase the bait. Mm-hmm. If you move it past them a little too fast, they will still chase it. But next week, 2 weeks from now, you're going to have to stay vertical on those fish, really finesse it down. And when I say force feed, does that make sense? Do you know what I mean when I say that? Mm-hmm. Like you're really sticking that bait in the fish's face. You're not giving them a chance to like decide. You pass them with the trolling motor. You move that bait over there. They didn't eat it, so you're automatically on reverse, kicking it back, and you're just going right back and forth between those fish. They're going to eat it, especially when there's competition. They're just going to do it.
I was going to say, this is why people book trips with Brian, because this is so fun just listening. We're not even fishing, and this is so fun.
So I'm gonna add a contrast to this conversation, right? So we're talking about water temps in like the low 50s, mid 40s, somewhere in that range. There's not a whole lot of tree cover. The sun is low in the sky. What that reminds me of is spring fishing. Mm-hmm. Especially that post-spawn time when you don't get a whole lot of bites, and the majority of people don't get a whole lot of bites, and that's because you in the springtime, you've been fishing way up shallow, and all of a sudden your bites stop. And then you don't mark any fish. There's no fish out, on weed edges because there are none, and there's no fish up shallow. But moving your bait another 15 to 40 feet off of that shallow, that's where those fish are sitting, that first break or in that structure that's right there. So that's what this time of year or these conditions kind of reminded me of. And I think like fishing that deeper wood structure where you find those little pods of fish roaming around, that's a great place to use that technique. But don't forget about checking those those mid-depth shallow stuff too this time of the year. Like you said, those big fish are stuffed up there, and what people should know about the big fish is they take the best spots. So wherever the best food is and their cover is, those big fish will sit in those spots and protect it. And that's why you see a bunch of fish like maybe on that first break line or right outside of that structure. And then you see like the structure, and then all of a sudden the structure kind of looks different. Well, that's a big fish sitting in there, like moving around looking for food. And that's why you're picking those big fish out of that structure with your technique. You can also do that up a little bit shallower too. Just think a little bit like that post spawn bite in these conditions too.
Absolutely, man. And if you even get a calm day, you can do that slip bobber technique too, that I preach a lot. But right now it's if you can cover water with your trolling motor going from brush pile to brush pile or break line to break line, hump to hump, you can actually see what's on those humps. Is it worth stopping? Is it worth fishing, or should I go check the next one? And that's kind of what we've done. We've just been fishing the spots with fish, that are really fishy. And when we find a fishy spot, we don't give up on it. It could take us, all day to get a limit, but if the fish are there, we're going to fish them, especially when they're eating.
I love that. I love that thought. Just, I think a lot of people, when they're moving from, the structure to structure or whatever topography, I think a lot of people tend to take lines out of the water to move. And I think I really like that idea, keeping that in mind. The longer your bait is in the water is the more chance you are at having fish. And like you said earlier, a lot of times some of those big fish will be roaming just all by themselves. You'll never see a mark, and then all of a sudden you'll grab a bite. You had that kind of that something happened to you similar earlier this year. Emily had her bait just right off the side of the boat, maybe a foot in the water. Like, she set her rod off to the side, and it was like a foot in the water, and she was
doing a bobber.
She was doing something out, like setting something else up, and all of a sudden her rod popped up, and she grabbed it, and there was a big crappie. That was
great.
And we would have there was no way we would have
never would have found that.
Never would have found that. But that's exactly what you're talking about. Moving slow, keeping your baits in the water at whatever depth they're eating at. And I think that's something great people should take away from this. I really like that.
Especially this time of year. That's very important. So have you guys, I take it your boat's still ready to go? You haven't winterized it yet?
Oh yeah, that we still got 3-4 weeks probably.
Yeah.
You just said it was basically equivalent to beginning October. I
know. Yeah. It's great. I feel like we should be out there winterizing the boat and getting it ready for storage, but I can't do it. It's just not going to happen.
I mean, it did snow a few inches the other day.
It snowed.
It snows in the springtime too.
Hey, absolutely it does. In fact, we got our biggest snow in April this year. I left the snowblower in the garage all winter, and then in April we get a foot.
And we put it to the back of the garage at that point.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. So as we were talking about this, I'm reading through the comment section, and we do have a few random comments that or questions, I guess, that we're gonna still talk about here tonight. So if anybody at home has, I don't know, maybe wants to get a jump on the Ice Expo, ask their ice fishing questions now, or even, I guess, open water, you can still post that in the comment section. But I guess we're going to start with Troy is asking, before we were talking all kinds of fishing, are you using mono, fluoro? What size? Can you tell us more?
I can tell you more. So I have, I've been introduced to this cool stuff.
You can see it.
I don't know if you can see it or not.
It's like, there you go.
So Finn's Braids has come into my life, and I tell you what, I'm really impressed by this stuff. I was completely 100% a mono guy, especially when it comes to finicky big bluegills. I've put this stuff through the ringer, and boy, am I impressed. So I've really been dumbing down my 2 rods that I take out with me every day when I'm chasing big crappies and bluegills to this 4-pound fins. I have 1 rod with 4-pound high vis yellow and then 4-pound black. I use the black on like Clearwater lakes, or if it's, a bright sunny day, I'll use that. And then if it's cloudy and dark stained water, I use the high vis. But what's really cool about this new Finn's braid, first of all, it's made in the USA. Can't say that about any other line company out there right now. Second of all, the diameter of this braid is the equivalent of 1 pound mono. So let that sink in. The diameter of this braid is the equivalent of 1 pound mono, yet it's 4-pound test. Now it's got the breaking strength of a 9-pound test, but yet it's 4-pound. You do not need to run a mono or fluoro leader to this. You can direct tie to it. If you're ice fishing with this braid this year and you are putting your bait down the hole, this line will disappear within the first 3 feet of the water column. It's going to remain visible to us for the first 3 feet. Once it gets down, you're not going to be able to see it, and neither are the fish. It's got the sensitivity of, let me put it this way. When you're fishing 30-pound or 30 feet of water basin crappies in the wintertime, and you're forced to use mono or even fluoro for the most part, and you get a bite and you go to set that hook, there's a lot of stretch in that line when you're that deep. And that's where a lot of these fish are first ice. With this braid, you eliminate the stretch. There's just enough stretch to get it really good to drive that hook home. Okay. I know that a lot of guys are going to be skeptical to use it. You should try it. It's made a world of difference for me. And that goes with big bluegills too. Big finicky bluegills. I'm direct tying this to my jigs. The cadence that it offers is a little bit, you think of braid, you think a little bit more stiff of a presentation. Not the case. So we've incorporated this new line into our lineup, and it's made a world of difference. I know when I take clients out, they're asking me where they can get it. I'm usually ended up giving mine away. So check it out. Check Finn's braid out.
Yeah, we did throw some on some of our ice fishing equipment just towards the end of the year last year. Our experience with that so far was very good. And this year, I know after the last few trips, we need to change lines on our rods because
it's at the end of
getting, you know that any braid you use after enough years of use, it turns into a nice feathery, wispy, catches on everything types of material. So it's time to switch over. So I think we'll be putting some fins on some rods this winter.
It's really neat stuff. You don't get a lot of the freeze up that you do on other braids. It's just the abrasion resistance it has is superior to none. And I've used them all, guys. I'm sure you have too. I'm just really happy with this braid, and I know that for the diehard anglers out there, they're gonna like it too. Mm-hmm. They're gonna appreciate it.
Well, and I'm just saying, I have a few jigs that I only bought because Ryan Salemi said, and they worked. So I'm willing to be open-minded about other things too. Okay, I'm kidding though. There is another question here. Do you use a swivel? But actually, probably not, because one of the things that you even said is that you can direct tie to your jig. That actually blew my mind too. It was worth repeating.
I've gotten away with a double Palomar knot, open water and ice. I have little to no spin at all. You catch 4 or 5 big 10-inch bluegills in a row, you're going to have to take it out and kind of stretch it out a little bit, right? But no, I do not use a leader with it at all. No swivel, no leader.
That's crazy. I will be honest, that blows my mind.
Troy, if you are looking for a swivel, I'm a huge proponent of the Hytena number 28 power swivels. That's a swivel that was designed for fly fishing.
These things are itty bitty.
I solely use it for nothing other than just preventing my line twist. And you're going to get line twist inherently in maybe a casting distance of your line, no matter if you have a swivel or not. That's because of how the mechanics of a spinning reel works. But it prevents that. What the swivel does is prevents that twist from traveling down further into your spool. So when you do pull out like whatever that 50 feet or 70 feet that you make a cast, it's not spinny underneath that. That's kind of because those twists do get pushed down through that line over time. It like stacks and it starts to push down. But other than that, I mean, that takes quite a long time, and so that, I don't know, that's just a personal preference. That's just what I like. But if you are looking for a swivel, again, that Hytena number 28 power swivel, that's kind of my go-to.
Cool.
Yeah, I think whether you're using a swivel or not, if you're bluegill fishing, they're notorious circle diggers. So
yep,
you're always going to have to work that out of your line every once in a while.
Yep.
All right. So the problem is that we could sit here and talk fishing all night. And I would love to do that. But we did say that we would circle back and say that, we are also, all of us will all be at the Wisconsin Ice Fishing Expo. I guess I am just making this transition really awkward because I wish we could stay and talk about fishing more. But that's the point about the expo, is that does not have to end. There is not just an hour, there is not just a day, but an entire weekend that if you have questions, you get to come and hang out and ask all of these experts. And Ryan and Jen, you guys will be there. Is that true?
That is true. Yeah, that rumor's true. I think we'll be there. And also for any of our longtime members too, I wanted to throw this out there. Saturday after the show ends, we are all going to be meeting at a place called the Landmine for this beautiful lady's 40th birthday party. And you are more than welcome. Our members are more than welcome to come. Our team members.
The mine shaft?
The mine shaft. Yeah, we're going to have a grand old time.
You said landmine.
Did I say?
Yeah, it feels like 40. I'm just
don't go to the landmine. That's a different thing. Mine shaft.
Mine shaft. My fault. Yeah.
Don't worry, Jen. We're not far behind you.
I was going to say you have less gray hair than I do.
Yeah. That's only because Jen, you don't live with me.
Not true. I just box-dyed it like 2 weeks ago, Emily.
Josh, do you know who she lives with? She has.
Yeah.
It bypassed.
Here's the common thing that I see. You and I don't have very much gray, but our women sure do. So I must say something about us.
I mean, mine has bypassed gray and went straight to white.
Oh gosh.
We had what was it, like 2 weekends ago? We had like a full like couples weekend, like no fishing, right? Like no fishing. Sunday night, he couldn't help himself. He was going down to the dock in his slippers.
The fish were surfacing. I had to go down and check it out.
I'm just kidding. Well, I'm not kidding. He did that, but it's fine.
Oh my goodness. Okay. Well, if you guys at home want to be in on the fun, you'll know where to find us because we just gave you all that information. And I guess we are looking forward to seeing everybody. There's a lot of hype in the comments. Looks like there's a lot of people who are going to come and visit. Looking forward to giving out lots of high fives. And hopefully people are going to plan on bringing their kids to the Kidz Zone because that is always a big part of the fun. And I know, like, we kind of started this show. If people have questions about fishing or whatever, bring it to the expo. If you cannot make it to the expo, you are welcome to still continue on this podcast because we'll probably check it. We'll probably respond. But seriously, this is the time to also be a part of the Ice Junkies Outdoors community. So if you have not checked that out, it is on Facebook and it's probably all around you because so many people are involved in the group now. There's probably somebody local to you in your area or at least your state. And that is always a fun connection to have. So at the risk of asking another fishing question, I think I have to thank you guys for your time, because we really appreciate having you on the show and being here with us tonight.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
Thank you.
I'm like you, Emily. I could sit here and talk all night about fishing.
I'm like, oh my God, just an hour.
That's why you should probably not even come over to our booth, because we will get nothing done there. We'll just sit there and talk about our own personal fishing needs the whole time.
Yep, Bloody Marys and fishing.
Late Sunday afternoon only.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. But to the people at home, thank you guys for being here as well. And hopefully we'll see all of you at the Ice Expo, because that is going to be super fun. But for everybody else, we will also be here Thursday with another edition of the Night Bite.
Night, everybody.
It's got to be ended.